I just finished playing Alan Wake, and holy crap, what a game. It was amazing from start to finish, and I can't recommend it enough. I've already annoyed the living crap out of my friends with all the games I've recommended to them, and it's actually a miracle that I haven't been blocked yet. I gotta be creative if I want to get them to give this game a try, so here's 50 reasons to play Alan Wake. Number 1, Alan Wake. Just look at that man. Absolutely scrumptious. On a more serious note though, I appreciate how he actually has flaws that are addressed throughout the story rather than being perfect from the start. His journey is equally about his own character development as it is about saving Alice. Speaking of which, number 2, Alice. All she wanted to do was help Alan get rid of his writer's block. She got kidnapped. What kind of a thank you is that? Number 3, Bright Falls. I've never been to Washington or the Pacific Northwest, but it's truly a beautiful place. You know, if it wasn't constantly being attacked by darkness or taken or anything, I'd love to go on a vacation there. I can definitely see why Alan and Alice chose to go there. Number 4, the graphics. I played the Xbox 360 version, but still, the game looked great. Maybe I'm just nostalgic for that generation of games, I don't know, but the landscape of the Pacific Northwest looks beautiful, and they look even better in the remaster. Speaking of which, number 5, it's been remastered. Alan Wake Remastered first came out in 2021, and it's available for PS5, PS4, Xbox One, Xbox Series X and S, PC, and the Nintendo Switch, so you can play this game just about anywhere. I didn't play the remaster, but the trailers and screenshots I've seen definitely look really good, and it's seriously an upgrade. If you don't want the remaster though, there's always number 6, the original. It's super cheap. I bought a cheap Xbox 360 copy off of eBay for about $10, which is pretty good. Plus, with the game being on Steam, you can find it on sale for only like $5 or so during big Steam sales. Number 7, the people. Even just from the boat ride there at the beginning of the game, you can tell that the citizens of Bright Falls are amazing people. Sure, there are some bad apples, but that's true anywhere, right? Number 8, the radio. Pat Main, the radio host, is a pretty nice guy, so it was always comforting to hear him talk. Plus, the radio interviews you could hear throughout the game added some more context to the world, and it made it feel real and lived in. That made me so much more immersed in the game. Number 9, Deer Fest. Deer are so cute, and boy would I love it if my town had a massive festival in honor of them. Number 10, Agent Nightingale. He may have had a pretty irrational hatred of Alan, but I'm not gonna lie, I thought it was funny hearing him reference a different writer every time he was yelling at Alan.
This is Agent Nightingale, FBI! Get him up, Hemingway!
Nowhere to run now, Dan Brown.
Well, I've got you now, Raymond Chandler. You hear me in there? Bret Easton Ellis?
Get back in the cell, Stephen King!
I also feel bad for him for being an alcoholic. Number 11, the guy in the jail cell in Chapter 2. I feel kinda bad for him, and not gonna lie, I wonder whatever happens to the guy. Number 12, Sarah Breaker. She may have been pretty suspicious of Alan at first, but she came around, and she ended up being really helpful. Admittedly though, maybe not as helpful as number 13, Barry Wheeler. I don't care what you think, Barry is the ideal man. Everything about him, from his looks to his personality, is the ideal human being. If you disagree with me, you're just mad that you're not Barry. He can hold off Taken, he's loyal to Alan, even when Alan is being a pain in the rear, he's always willing to have a good time, and most importantly, he's able to keep cardboard cutouts safe even in the most extreme scenarios. What more could you ask for in a man? Number 14, Oh Dear Diner. Nothing calms the soul quite like a good burger from a diner. And oh my goodness, the famous Triple D burger sounds really good right about now. Number 15, Remedy Entertainment. Remedy is known for putting out bangers like Control and the Max Payne games. When they were developing Alan Wake, they wanted to make something much different than what they had made before. And not only did they do just that, they did it insanely well. When you're playing a game by Remedy Entertainment, you know you're in for something good. Number 16, Cynthia Weaver. She's known as the Lady of the Light in the song The Poet and the Muse by the Old Gods of Asgard. And if she's not the most dedicated person you've ever seen, then I don't know who is. She was obsessive over lighting up the power plant for years, all in hopes that someone would one day come by to finally put an end to the dark presence possessing Barbara Jagger. What a legend! Number 17, whatever Barry and Alan drank on the farm. Listen, nothing is certain in life except for 3 things: death, taxes, and the fact that alcohol can fix all of your problems. The Old Gods of Asgard must have really known how to party, because the drink that Alan and Barry had on their farm got the two of them absolutely plastered. Not only that, but it literally gave Alan visions of the past, which solved one of his biggest problems. I wish I could solve my problems like that. Speaking of the farm, oh my gosh, there are few moments in gaming that make me feel quite as badass as I did during the concert battle scene in Alan Wake. So number 18, the concert battle scene. Barry's yelling at me, things are exploding, heavy metal is playing, and I'm wiping out waves of Taken. If you think you've played a better level in video games than that, you're lying to yourself. Remedy clearly knows how to make a good level. The ashtray maze in Control made me feel like a god, and this is much the same. Speaking of gods, number 19, Old Gods of Asgard. The concert battle wouldn't have been possible if those guys didn't build a massive stage on their farm in the first place. Their song Children of the Elder God is what defined that scene, and is actually a really good song, even outside of the game. The other songs they made for Alan Wake, Balance Slays the Demon, and The Poet and the Muse are both amazing songs as well. These guys know how to rock. I'm glad that their music is on streaming services like Spotify, but sadly, I can't see them live. If only they were real. Number 20, Poets of the Fall. Their song War is played over one of the radios you can find in the game, and I really liked it. Like Old Gods of Asgard, their music is on streaming services, and even better, they're real people. You know, something about these guys really reminds me of the Old Gods of Asgard. I can't figure out why though. Number 21, the story. The story in Alan Wake is genuinely amazing. I was holding on for dear life the entire time. There were multiple points where my jaw dropped, multiple points where I was questioning what was going on, and when the credits finally rolled, I stared at the screen for about 5 minutes taking in the masterpiece that I just experienced. Whoever wrote this game's story was definitely channeling their inner Alan Wake. Yeah, I'm sorry, that wasn't funny. Speaking of the credits, number 22, David Bowie. I love David Bowie's music, so when Space Oddity played during the credits, I was in heaven. It was an awesome ending to an awesome game. Number 23, the music. Space Oddity wasn't the only good song in Alan Wake. At the end of every chapter, a different song would play, and it added a lot to the game. They all created a certain vibe that really pushed me to keep going. When In Dreams by Roy Orbison started playing at the end of chapter 1, I mean, come on. How could I say no to that? Number 24, chapters. I love chapter systems in games because they really push me to keep playing. In Alan Wake, they made sure that the game had really good pacing. Plus, each chapter ended with a cliffhanger, so I was always dying to see what would happen next. Number 25, Dr. Hartman. Sure, the guy was shady, but he added a lot to the story. For a good bit there, I actually wasn't sure if Alan was sane or not. Of course, that was just Dr. Hartman trying to confuse Alan and get him to hand over the manuscript pages, but still, it made the story way more interesting. Number 26, the Anderson brothers. The two of them make up Old Gods of Asgard, and wow, when I get to their age, I want to be just like them. They bring the energy wherever they are. They even fought back against the doctors at Dr. Hartman's clinic. Talk about badass. Number 27, Bright Falls. No, this isn't a repeat. Other than the town that the game takes place in, Bright Falls is a prequel to Alan Wake that was released as a short series. It's got 6 episodes and follows Jake Fisher, a writer who travels to Bright Falls to interview Dr. Hartman, when some weird stuff starts happening. Number 28, Night Springs. I haven't watched The Twilight Zone, but now I don't have to because I found something clearly superior. Night Springs is a pretty strange TV show that you can watch on the TVs you find throughout the game, and yeah, it gets weird. There's an episode about 2 ladies who find a wormhole in their basement, and a man that comes out of it who is essentially God. There's an episode where someone kisses a woman and then proceeds to give birth to a mythological being. I could keep going on, but I don't know if I want to. Number 29, the TVs where you can see Alan. Throughout the game, you'll run into TVs that will show you a frantic version of Alan writing Departure, the manuscript that Alan was gradually piecing together throughout the events of the game. Much like the manuscript pages, these TVs gave me some clues as to what was going on, and they kept me interested in what was happening. Number 30, coffee. In all honesty, I'm not a big coffee person, but it seems like literally everybody else in Bright Falls is. Alan must be fiending for coffee, because even when he's fighting off monsters in the woods, he still finds the time to grab some coffee. Number 31, Control. Alan Wake takes place in the same universe as Control, another game developed by Remedy. I loved Control, and it's actually what got me to play Alan Wake in the first place. There are some parts that reference the events of Alan Wake, and it seems that Alan Wake 2 makes plenty of references to Control. Remedy is trying to make their own connected universe, kinda like how the MCU is for Marvel, and I'm all for it. Number 32, Light. I thought the light mechanic was really cool in this game. Rather than simply shooting enemies to kill them, you have to shine enough light on them before they can take damage. I think one of the main differences between a horror game and an action game is how much control the player has over the situation. For example, Resident Evil is about a man being stuck in a room with monsters. Doom is about monsters being stuck in a room with a man. Something simple like making me shine a light on monsters gave me less control over the situation, just like Alan Wake. Number 33, Guns. Another way the game made you feel like you're not as in control as you'd like to be is the fact that you have to be mindful of how much ammo you're using. Alan Wake obviously isn't the first game where you can run out of ammo, and who knows, maybe I just suck at this game, but but I ran out of ammo a lot. That feeling that ammo was scarce made me appreciate each bullet way more, and it made me feel more aware of my surroundings, like I was actually in the woods running from monsters. Number 34, running. Alan can run in the game, but he runs out of breath pretty easily, which was annoying, but I came to appreciate it. Once again, it made me feel kind of powerless, and it forced me to consider every option in fighting the Taken. Speaking of which, number 35, the Taken. The way they just appeared out of nowhere was a bit annoying, but it kept me on my toes, and it forced me to be aware of my surroundings and consider all my options. Once again, it made me more immersed, and it made me feel like I was in Alan's shoes. Number 36, the manuscript pages. At first, I was afraid that the manuscript pages would give away too much about what was going to happen, but as time went on, I appreciated them. The manuscript pages didn't outright spoil what was going to happen. Instead, it gave enough context for me to guess what was going to happen, but not enough context for me to actually know. They were all like mini cliffhangers that always kept me in suspense. You know, I think it's pretty funny how Alan has writer's block in the game, and I'm getting insane writer's block making this video right now. Anyway, number 37, Stephen King. If I'm being completely honest with you, I haven't ever read a Stephen King novel or seen a movie based on one. Even still, I recognized a few references to Stephen King related stuff, like that one scene from The Shining. That's a pretty cool touch. Number 38, Thomas Zane. That man is an absolute legend for saving Alan before the Dark Presence finished using Alan to write a story that would consume the world with darkness. Number 39, the Clicker. My brain short-circuited when Alan found the Clicker in the shoebox. It's a chicken or the egg dilemma with some crazy time-related paradoxes that are way too complicated for my brain. I'm still not sure of how all that worked, but I had a lot of fun trying to figure it out. Number 40, the Dark Place. It's kind of funny how Alice's one fear is the dark, and she ends up somewhere literally called the Dark Place. Talk about bad luck. Number 41, Cauldron Lake. Sure, I'd never want to swim in the lake out of fear that I would die, but hey, it's a beautiful lake. Number 42, you can fight construction equipment. I thought it was crazy when you had to fight construction equipment in Yakuza Like a Dragon, but Alan Wake takes it to another level since nobody's even driving it. The machine is actually possessed and actually trying to kill you. Number 43, driving sequences. It was nice to take a break from walking every now and then so I could hop behind the wheel of a truck and plow down some Taken. It's a much more efficient way to kill them, and it makes me feel even more like a badass. Number 44, Sam Lake. You know it's gonna be a good game when he's directing it. Plus, he actually makes an appearance in the game. During a flashback scene, you can watch a late-night TV special that Alan appeared in, and for a quick second, you can see that Sam Lake was a guest too. Number 45, Energizer. The batteries you use for the flashlights are all Energizer batteries, and in some of the game's driving scenes, you actually can see billboard ads for Energizer. What? Number 46, Verizon? Seriously? What's up with the ads? There are billboard ads for Verizon, but it gets even weirder. You can find an entire 30-second ad for Verizon on one of the TVs. I'm not even kidding.
Want access to thousands of applications? Verizon Wireless has you covered.
That's pretty strange, but you know what isn't? America's most reliable 5G. Number 47, supply drops. I guess I wasn't very good at this game because I was blowing through batteries and bullets. Those supply drops I'd run into in the woods were serious lifesavers. Number 48, DLC. If you want even more Alan Wake goodness, you've got The Signal and The Writer, which both build upon the story of Alan Wake. Number 49, Alan Wake's American Nightmare. If I'm being completely honest, I haven't played it, but it looks pretty cool. It's a spin-off of Alan Wake that takes place in between the first and the second game. Speaking of the second game, number 50, Alan Wake 2. You probably shouldn't play the second game until after you've played the first one, and you should definitely play the second game. With a rating of 89 on Metacritic, it's one of the highest rated games of 2023. It won Best Narrative, Best Game Direction, and Best Art Direction at the Game Awards. And although it didn't win Game of the Year, it was nominated for it. If all of that isn't enough to convince you to play Alan Wake, then I don't know what is, man. All in all, Alan Wake is a tremendous game that is definitely worth your time. Remedy puts out bangers, plain and simple, and Alan Wake is no exception.